Bonjour, bonjour, and welcome to We Talk. Comment allez-vous? Glad to see that all of you could make it. Hey, what's up, Malcolm? All right. Anyway, we hope that you had a good week so far. We about to turn it up a little bit and have this discussion. Last week we talked about why is it so easy for people to follow along with the crowd instead of voicing their own opinions and really talking about how they really feel. Now, we're not going to discuss it tonight. We're going to get on with our discussion. But if you'd like, you can go to my page and check it out. I think it'll do you a lot of good. But anyway, I'm not going to give a jewel of the day because I want this discussion right here to be very, very intriguing, and we want you to start thinking about some other things. Tonight, we're going to be discussing, is there such a thing as having a limit to the information you share with your partner? All right? Is it okay to keep secrets? Now, I know everybody has got an opinion about it, and they already know which way they think they're going to go, but I guarantee you, by the time we're done, you'll probably have a different perspective. But without further ado, let me bring my co-host on. I hope we don't have any issues tonight. All right. So we're going to try to get them on in here so that we can get on with this discussion. But again, I hope you all had a great week. We're happy that you're here. Last week we had a lot of different and new faces. Hey, Miss O'Neill. Well, it said you're joined, so I don't know whether or not you probably got something going on again. So I'm going to go ahead and add Keith. What's going on, Keith?
Yo, what's up, big homie?
Oh, man, I can't call it. Just living life twice and loving it.
Yeah, you know how we do bench pressing is pressure, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, bench pressing is pressure over here, dog. But everything good with you, though?
Yeah, everything's good, man.
Yeah.
Everything's good. Just waiting, for a couple things to develop, and you already know. But we getting some progress done. But in that part of the country, man, it's kind of difficult when people know that you got something good working. So they're gonna try to milk it just like a cow, bro.
That's what well that's when, our friend said the words is exposed, that's what he meant,
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's like it's I understand that. I just, there's some things I don't understand about a lot of these things. But where's the joy at?
that's what I'm trying to figure out. She tried to join once, but I keep telling her she has to go out and come back in. So hopefully she's doing that this time. But she tried to join. Every time she tries to join, for some reason, it just grays out and it says that she's joining. So we told her last time just to go out and come back in. So hopefully that's what she's doing now.
All right, yeah, we in that fourth quarter of the that other phase, so you're gonna see some messages coming from me because there's some things we got from our and I gotta send to our
Oh, okay.
government people. Yeah. I mean, we just seeing what we can do. We in the last quarter, and
Oh, yeah.
there's some things there, so we'll see.
Well, we going to take it one day at a time, man. I mean, as long as we work hard and keep it, the only time you lose is when you quit. That's my
Yeah,
belief.
100%. I'm with you on that. I mean, after
So
a
we
while,
need,
people on the live don't realize. After a while, what happens is when you're so locked in, you go too far to quit. It doesn't make sense to quit after you go so far. Like if that's the case, you should never start it.
absolutely.
So like, yeah. So I mean, that's what I say.
Yeah.
Bench pressing is pressure. You know what I
Hey,
mean? Yeah,
that,
because
hey, that's why I kind of never understood, when people start something and then they get fed up after they've been knee deep in it. I'm saying they don't need to get fed up now. You got to see it to the conclusion. That makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
yeah. You can't let your emotions control your judgment, and that's what a
Oh,
lot of people do. They let their emotions control their judgment and their decision making, and they think that they're not making emotional decisions, but they actually are. They don't realize it.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Oh,
man. It's crazy. We could Man, we can have like 500 topics on here, man.
You
Like,
ain't
it's crazy.
lying. Hey, Malcolm, I'm drinking on that XXO, that Hennessy. So that's what I do, but that's all I can drink. I can't stomach anything else, man. All right, let's see can we get her on in here, Keith, so we can go ahead and get started. Because I'm ready for this one right here. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. People's
What was the
perspective on
topic again? Say that again.
it's on is there a limit to the information? You know how you're in a
Yeah,
relationship, is there a limit to
yeah.
the information you should share with your partner? Uh, so it's gonna get down and dirty,
I
man.
thought I thought I read it that way. I heard you say it. I just want to make sure because I'm just laughing because this is gonna be an interesting one. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and start it
Yeah,
off. I
start it off
got
because is there a limit? Uh, I can start off by saying, depending on the scenario, what your partner does for a living, and what roles that they play in your relation, how y'all relationship is. The answer is
right,
yes,
right.
especially if you do things that bring. When we go out, I'll just say this before you start.
All right.
Everybody always says, husband goes to work, wife goes to work. Everybody, how was your day? Well, you know that most likely your significant other experienced negative at the job because that's just the nature of what
Oh
happens.
yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm the type of guy that I'm not going to put that negative on my woman. So if I got wrong and they were ready to hang me on the tree outside the office, I'm not going to tell my lady that because you know why? For a lot of reasons. One,
Right,
she's going to be worried about me going to work tomorrow, even
right,
though I told her everything might be cool. It
right.
brings unnecessary negative that I don't have to give to her. She's going
Yeah,
to tell me about what they did to her at her job. So now she went through her negative. Now she's going to take on my negative because that's just how it goes. No.
right,
So I'm not going to share that full disclosure. Like, I'm just going to say everything was good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this happened, that happened. But I'm going to keep it basic. I'm not going to say that they had me at the tree ready to
right,
hang me. You know what I'm saying?
right,
I'm not going to say that. I'm
right,
not being literal, people. We're speaking figurative, not literal. We're speaking figurative, right?
right, right.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
Because I have to
I'm
protect
with you.
her. I have to protect her. It's my responsibility. Because even though I'm trying to share something with her, she's going to internalize it differently. And if we're like that, like we are, she's going to worry. She's going to be concerned. Now she's not even going to be thinking about her own situation that she needs to focus on. But anyway, go ahead, Naomi.
Hey, well, you see, well, we got
Did
Miss O'Neill. Hey, Miss
I
O'Neill.
steal some of your thunder already? I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but it seems like I steal your thunder every time. You know what I'm
Now
saying?
we good. We locked in like that, so
I
it's
just
all right, bro.
mess with you. I'm just messing with you. I
and,
know. I'm just saying, but that's how
and,
you
and
know
you
we
know
locked in.
me,
Like, yeah.
I know how to pivot, brother.
But you know we locked in, and you can't pivot from what I just said. You gonna have to
Right.
elaborate on it. Yeah, you can't pivot from that.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah.
But hey, Miss O'Neill, how are you?
Hey, and I'm gonna just tell you right now, lunch lady ain't telling everything. Nope. Nope.
Well,
Some
we on
things
the
I ain't
same
telling sugar.
page. There you go.
I'm not telling sugar show. Nope. Cause some things you just don't tell. What happens at work, stay at work. Ain't nobody doing nothing. He need nope.
Yeah.
Exactly, because you're the one that's controlling the situation. So if somebody try to holler at you at work, you ain't got to come home and tell him so he could get mad. Who was it? Who did that? Ain't got nothing to say because you handled that already. I get it. It's a lot. Look,
Yeah,
there's a lot of variables to this
You know how they
discussion.
say some secrets stay where they happen at. That's what they gonna do. I
But
ain't telling
it
everything.
wasn't nothing to begin with, so ain't nothing to talk
I'm
about. It
just
ain't
saying
nothing.
I ain't telling
Yeah.
everything because let me just tell you something. Because I'm being serious now. When you bring stuff home to your mate, and this is just another spin on it. Especially if it's somebody that really loves you genuinely, and you come home and tell them, you know what, Bobby said something to me, or Susie said something to me, then he gonna be all up in arms. Well, why you didn't tell me this before? So I'm just gonna be real careful about what I may tell and what I might not tell. Now I'm gonna tell him like months and years later. I'm gonna tell him when it's old. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna tell. I'm gonna be like, baby,
Why?
you remember that time?
Hey, if
But
you're gonna
Why?
wait months and years,
Why?
then you
Why
need
because
even
to
say it?
say
I'm about to say
something.
the
like
same thing, Mrs. G.
sometimes
Why
it
you
might
gonna
just
bring it
come
up
up, and
months
I
and
be
years later?
no, I'm
What do
just
you
saying,
mean?
like I'll be like, well,
Yeah.
baby, you remember that time when you asked me what was wrong, and I said it was this. Well, this is what happened, and I'll tell him, well, I this is how I handled it. This is what I did, and even if he says, well, why didn't you tell? I was like, well, you know what, I knew that was something that would, if I told you, it would have went differently, So I mean,
No.
I will. In that protective manner, I will do that. And it's just some things I'm going to come home and say, no, this what happened, blah, blah, blah. Not because I want to worry him, but I just need for him to know, the space that I'm in and know what's going on really. So if other things do happen, he's aware.
And then the thing is also, you never know what the reaction is going to be. Because in certain scenarios, we think we know an individual. But when you put a person in a situation
Yep.
that you haven't seen them in that kind of situation before, then it might be something that's surprising and shocking to you. You know what
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean?
and then like sometimes, I've been in situations like in my past relationships, not now, but you think you coming home to tell them something, and you just really want to be open about it, and it goes left because now I'm in a space where we can talk for clarity, we can talk for understanding, or I can ask him, hey, how do I need to handle this or whatever, and he'll say, well, you could do this to handle it, but if you don't handle it, I'm gonna handle it. So I'm gonna make sure because I don't want to
Right.
bring I don't want to bring sugar. No, sugar stay on the way there. Because then I know it's gonna be I know it's gonna be a whole nother thing. So I think that sometimes I wouldn't necessarily call it keeping secrets. I just think it's a way of being tactful and how you bring it out or how you what's the word, you communicate it to them. Now of course if a woman get in the car and she got tears, there ain't that wrong, no, he gonna know something is wrong. So
Oh,
I think it's how you articulate it. And I think it depends on what situation it is and the severity of it. And your man or your woman, so you should know what you can do and what you can't, or what you can say and what you can tell and what you can't.
yeah. And well, we've been taught to be absolute when it comes to love. What I mean by that, that means that there's no gray area. You understand? And I know this to be true by the way people think, the way they react, and the way they were raised. When you talk, first of all, and when we say something like this, is there a limit to the information you should tell your partner? Most people's mind are automatically going to go to infidelity or cheating.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing. And the reason for that is because that's how we were taught. And that's why I specifically picked this particular topic, because I know how people think. When you say, I'm withholding information from you, what's the first response that you're going to get if you're in a relationship? Is that you got something to hide. Because,
I mean, I'll say like certain things don't bring home. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to know.
right,
I don't want to know what you doing when you say I'm gonna be back in a minute, or I don't want to know none of that. I don't want to know when you say you going out with the fellas. I know it be cold words and stuff. You keep all that where it's at. I'm not one of them kind of women, and I think that when we talk about people thinking about the infidelity part. You have to. I trust you until I can't. I trust you until you give me reason not to. You know what I'm saying? So if you haven't given me reason to not to trust you, then I'm not gonna not trust you. If I haven't given you a reason, and then if you even feel like that, I think when you talk about this situation, if you feel like your partner is withholding information, from you, or you feel like you're getting into that mode where the non-trust is switched on, that's when you need to sit down and have a serious conversation. Because if you care about that person and you're in a committed relationship, a committed, meaningful relationship, then it should be no holds bars on what you can discuss or you can't discuss. And then it should be a conversation had. Well, you know what? If I made you feel like this and I gave you that trigger word, or you know, that word triggered you, or you know, my actions triggered you, it wasn't that, but I feel like this, or this is what happened. But a lot of people, especially, you know, like I'm not gonna say just women in general, but a lot of people
It is.
have. Well, I'm just saying, you know, I ain't. I mean, I just said I ain't that kind of woman. I'm speaking for my. I'm speaking for myself, and I realize I can't speak for every woman. But you know, a lot of, you know, women have problems. Some women have problems with that, and then, you know, because you be thinking, well, what he gonna say and what he gonna do. Well, what's gonna happen if you don't have the conversation? Where is that gonna take you if you don't ask these questions? So I think you have to have a level of maturity and openness, and you have to be secure in your relationship and secure in yourself, because then if not, then it's going to go a whole nother way.
Well, see, that's the whole issue. What happens if the individual finds out and you've kept it from them? So, you know, it's one of those double-edged swords.
You have to be
If
ready.
listen, if you've got a very, very secure relationship, then your your partner and your mate, they're gonna know your habits. Just like you said,
Yes.
if your guy says, our girl says, hey, I'm going out, I'll be out for a minute, particularly with men. If a man says, hey, I'm going to handle a little business, I'll be back. You know from his body language, you know from knowing him, you know from his habits, that that's something that you really don't want to push the button. Because you
Right.
got enough honesty and control in your relationship. If it was something that was important enough for him to share with you, he would have. So that's the fallacy. That's the understanding that you must have. But when we look at this thing as being absolute, well, if you lie, if you keep something, first of all, if someone withholds information, it's not the same as a lie. We're going to get
No,
into
they
what
just
that
didn't
is.
tell it. Well, I mean, you know, and that's the thing. We, like, you know, and we have talked about this a lot. I'll tell you, I'm not gonna confirm or deny. You know what I'm saying? I will tell you that. I will say that in a minute. You know, but I feel like when you talk about withholding of information and a lie, um, people, because you don't tell them everything, they feel like you lied to them. No, I didn't lie to you. I just didn't tell you. You know, I didn't tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
But
A lie when it's
but
just
for
a
but
lie when it's an untruth, and when it's not true,
but
or when you've been
for the
untruthful. Go
for the
ahead.
majority of people, if you have let's say you've got your best friend or somebody that's real close to you, all right, outside of the relationship, they don't know how you interact with your significant other. All right, so you go to them and you say, not to cause any confusion, just because you share information with them at that level. And you said, hey, you know, my old man did this the other day and he didn't tell me that he was going to do it. Now, what's the first thing the response is that you can't trust him. I wouldn't trust him,
But
right?
you can't. But that's what I've learned
Is
as a
that the truth,
female.
though?
Yeah,
Is that the reality
but
of
this is
it?
one thing that I've learned as a mature female, especially like when I got in my 40s, y'all. You can't share your business, or you can't share your happiness with too many people. You can't share your troubles and trials with too many people, because if they not happy and it's happened to them, they just assume that it happens to everybody. You know, and I just have learned to keep my mouth shut. If somebody say, "Oh, you know, you still, you know, sugar sick," yeah, or whatever, and I go on with my business. I don't share things. I don't want you in my life that way. Therefore, you can't assume. You can't make an ass out of you or me. Right? So I just keep it that way. Keep it simple, stupid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, most people will automatically assume that concealment as being unfaithful, untruthful, and untrustworthy. That's just the human nature for most people. Now, there's a
And
segment
them
of
be the
people,
cheaters.
yeah. Well, there,
Be
there,
the
there
ones that
is
problem.
there is a segment of people who have a relationship that far surpasses that type of what I call childishness and foolishness. Because I don't care what happens, you're not going to know everything that happens in your partner's life. You're two individuals, separate individuals, separate thoughts. If if the information is used improperly, then there are consequences, and then that's a whole different story. But we for this discussion, I think most of us will agree that most people feel with withholding information is being dishonest, is hiding something, and it leads to bigger problems. That's what most people think. And this may be true in certain cases, but certainly not all of them. You can't just, hey, you can't paint that with one paintbrush because everybody, listen, I'm a firm believer in this as well. You could be a good person
Mm.
and you could be with the wrong individual, and that will change your whole character.
It sure will.
So that relationship, it may not work for you, but that doesn't mean you are a bad person.
But
That
but
means
you know,
that,
but you know,
but
that's all about when you truly find your person. Because like you say, a lot of times we get with people, we feel, oh, this is the person for me. Oh, this is the man, this is the woman for me. But when you have to keep verifying that, it's not the right person for you. When you find your person, a lot of those a lot of those feelings or those
issues,
things, yeah, those things don't even come up. Like somebody can't come tell me that my guy is. Of course, he gonna look at another woman. If he don't look at other women, I think something wrong with him. Of course, you're gonna look at other people. You're gonna find other people attractive. Of course, you're gonna. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, one, I don't listen to people with certain things. I try not to listen to people in their relationship scenarios because I don't want no little light bulbs going off for me because myself will start talking to self and I'll be like, now self, you know what, this happened, so sometimes you just have to know that in your relationships and whatever, because I'm gonna get to know you before we get into the relationship. So I'm going to know some of your habits. I'm going to know maybe what's normal and what's not. And most of the time when you're in a relationship with someone and they're mature and they're settled, they're going to tell you, well, this is my job. I really, I can only share so much, or this is the kind of job I do, or we don't talk about certain information, or are you going to know if they tell you I work for the CIA or I work for the military or whatever, you're going to know that there's certain things that they're not going to divulge to you. Certain companies don't allow people to let their things out. So, I mean, you should expect that. You
yeah,
should expect not to know everything about, and I think if you know everything, all of the secrets, all of this, I think that can be kind of sickening and kind of toxic, because like who does that a lot?
yeah. Hey, Gail, but the thing is, I think it's about managing your relationship and managing expectations. Listen, if an individual has to know every single thing about you, that's a condition that they have to deal with. There's something terribly wrong with that individual. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe they've been damaged from other previous relationships, or maybe they're not used to a certain type of individual in their life. Because what happens when you have those type individuals, you punish the individual that you're with, and he had nothing to do with And I've known people. I've got people that I know that are in relationships right now. I'm not going to say that they're miserable, but they are really not at peace. And The reason is because on one side of the coin, there's an individual who suffered through traumatic and a whole lot of drama in their lives. So now you have an individual who has not experienced that or who does not favor drama. Believe me when I say some people can only operate out of chaos and confusion. Their minds have to keep going regardless if the argument or the event is at its conclusion. They have to carry it on.
Well, I mean, like, and y'all could tell me from both sides. So, if I'm just saying hypothetically, and y'all excuse me because my allergies have been on 10 today, but if you felt like something was off with your mate, like for me, if I felt like something was off, I'd be like, I just want to ask you about the other day because it just didn't feel right to me, or something going on or whatever. I mean, and I won't be hostile about it. I've learned that when you meet something with anger or you in your emotions, you never get any resolution. I don't know how y'all men like be like, hey, something's off. I don't know what y'all say if y'all feel like things are off. I think that a lot of times things happen
Every
and
man
people make
is different.
assumptions because they don't know how to bring about the conversation. So I mean,
Every
I
man
just
is
be like, well,
different.
babe, you put on your shoes and you tied them, two times instead of one time. What's going on? That's not normal or whatever. This hit me wrong way or something like that. So how do y'all introduce? How would you, as a male, introduce to your mate if you felt like something was going on? Because I think a lot of people don't know how to communicate. So I think it would be nice to hear both perspectives
It's
on
not
that.
even about communication. My parents been married over 50 years. My dad told me very young, study your woman. Study your woman. So for me, I'm going to know if she's off, even if she doesn't talk to me. So because I'm an open book and I'm very transparent, I attack things head on. It's better to have the uncomfortable conversations early than let it fester and grow into something later, because what happens in mind is perception just drives truth. Perception is truth to most people, but it's not the truth. And then when you have other factors that drive that perception, look at social media. How do
Mm.
conspiracy theories and all this crazy stuff people say? What happens? Perception drives truth. So I'm going to get ahead of that. Okay. And if that means I got to say, look, I noticed that when we were eating, when we were talking, you didn't look at me, or you were looking in your plate, or I'm just saying in general, or
Right.
you know what, you went
Mm-hmm.
to the bathroom 3 times. You normally don't go to the bathroom that much. Like, what's going on? Like and I'm typing. I was like, what you got another dude you texting or something? Like you texting them in the bathroom, come back? Like, what's going on? So I'm gonna put the pressure on you. But here's the thing, in a nice, tactful, unthreatening way. Like I'm interrogating you because we ride, right? So I read people like a book. I don't even have to see your face in some instances. Once I hear your voice, I can read people over the phone. So my lady, I already know what it is. So now I need to figure out what's making this interaction weird. Because when you're dealing with your significant other, if you're used to certain interactions can become weird. And then you're like, okay, why is this weird right now? Something just happened that I don't know about. So there's either something that I didn't see. What, did your ex just walk in the restaurant? Is that your ex at the table over there or something? Like, what just happened? Why you stop talking? Why you stop? Like, something weird just happened. Hold on, is your ex the waiter? Hold on, did I not catch on to something? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm not saying that you say all these things out loud, but this is how my mind works. I'm just saying, I've been through a divorce before. So my whole approach and awareness is like spidey senses. So I see everything. Like, hold on. Well, why? It doesn't mean you say something about it all the time. But most people, here's the problem. Most people think that communication is bad. What they don't understand is that, and I'll say it this way, and this is just something I came up. I'm going to write a book at some point, and y'all all gonna get a copy when I write it.
All right.
But anyway,
Well, thank
clarity,
you.
right? Clarity. Remember, communication is all about everybody being on the same page, right? So clarity creates understanding, right? Which then creates unity. There can't be any unity without understanding. So clarity, right, creates understanding, which then ultimately will create unity with people that want to be unified. What happens in a lot of relationships with men and women is that the focus is not about being unified. The focus is about one upping the other, proving your point, being right, all these things. No, clarity creates understanding, which then creates unity. So if your goal is to be unified, that means that even when you're right, you can apologize and say, you know what, I'm wrong. I apologize. Because you know what? If you're right, you know you're right. And guess what? Your spouse knows you're right too. It's just an ego thing. So clarity creates understanding, which creates unity. If your goal is to be unified, it doesn't matter who's right. I'm going to mute out on that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, well, look, I agree 100% with you. Hey, Diane, I remember I believe you, and that seems to be true. See, we all have a need, some more than others, which makes it a condition where we want to know everything. We want to know everything. You know, in some cases, that's not the best solution. Sometimes it's not good, just like in the military. When you go into war, sometimes you don't need to let people know that, hey, we're in a situation where we know half of us are not going to come
We in a
back.
hostile environment. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
come on. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because
no.
if
Yeah,
you
they don't
choose
need to
to
know that. Yeah, they don't need to.
yeah, there's a need. They call this thing in the military on a need to know basis. There's information that's shared on a need to know basis based on you and your position. But here's the other part of that. When you don't have trust in your relationship, sharing information is highlighted now. Because if you have the foundation or trust already rooted in that foundation, then some of the things that most people experience as far as negativity, they are not highlighted. The only time we have problems in life, and here's everybody on the line, is when things become overwhelming. Although we feel that our very existence is being challenged. And what I mean by that, me as a man, you as a woman, being disrespected. What they say now, I ain't nobody to play with, So
No
what
cap.
that
No
tells
cap.
you is
I
that,
ain't anybody to play with. No cap. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I ain't
yeah.
capping right now. Like, yeah.
So that just tells me that the trust level is not there. So the very foundation that's mandatory in cementing your relationship is not there. You
Mr. G,
can't
hold
have
on.
a.
Can I say something? Can I
Go
say one
ahead.
thing?
Go ahead.
You know why those people can't trust? Because they don't trust themselves. It's a self thing.
Right.
If you're insecure as a person, you're looking at the other person like, even though they told you they riding with you, like, nah, well, you know what? She probably. And here's the thing, men do it all the time. If your woman looks good and she's bad, other men are going to talk to her when she's out. If you don't think that, you're stupid. Why are you jealous? And guess what? That's a compliment that, man, all these dudes want to talk to your lady. But if she rides with you and she say, I'm with you, she's not going to talk to none of them. And she's not even going to show any sign of being available. This is where men mess up. Give her that trust. Like, all right, I ride with you. Guess what? She's not going to violate you if she says, I'm with you. You have to be secure as a person. Then when she come in looking good from the place, yo, how many guys try to talk to you? What happened? What you say? Nah, you were insecure. She looking at you like I should have hollered at the one dude. Looking at you when I come back. You know what I'm
Yeah, 'cause
saying? Like,
it's almost time for me to exit left anyway, the way you
yeah.
acting.
So go ahead, Mr. G. Like, some of it is it's security as a person, and you know that you're doing what you need to do, and that's it. Yeah.
But I think for a lot of women, um, and I can speak from experience. Like when you were just talking about when you come out the bathroom, they like, oh, he looking at you. You know, if you don't know what real love is and trust is, you can think that, oh, he loved me because he's saying that, oh, he did, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, you know, if you don't know what it is really to have somebody to trust you, it is really to have somebody to love you and be in love with you and want to see the best for you, then I think that's because some women actually think that's okay. You know, like,
That's
oh, he, and I'm like I said, I speak from my own experiences. And so for a long time I thought, oh, that mean, you know, that mean my children say, oh, that mean he loved me, that means he gonna, you know, be there forever. And you know, whatever, I must be doing something wrong. No, it ain't you that's doing something wrong. It be them. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you know, people try to deflect what they're doing other places, so they keep doing
Oh
what
yeah.
they doing, and you could
Talk about
still
the
be
men.
right
Yeah,
there.
women are
You
always
know,
more committed than men.
yeah,
Yeah, in most cases. Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so like now, where I am now in my life, if I feel some type of way about something before I go, like he must be cheating, he must be this, I'll call, hey, babe, I really been missing you today, or can I miss you today, I love you or whatever. Not to say that I have to verify does he love me, but sometimes you have to remind yourself as a woman or as the other person in the relationship, hey, what is this person really bringing to the table? I'm happy, I'm this, I'm that, and all of that other stuff. You got to shake whatever happened to you previously off so that you can be healthy and you can move forward and you can love properly or correctly. People don't know how to love correctly. We love out of anger or all of these other things, or because we felt like we were
necessity.
missing something. Huh?
Necessity.
5 Love Languages.
Ne-
Go get the
Yeah.
book. People on
And
the
so
live. Go get the book. Five
and
Love
so
Languages by Gary
right.
Chapman. Go
And so
ahead.
now in my life, I want to love correctly because I want to be loved correctly. I want to be proper in what I'm doing because I want, you know what I'm saying? I want the commitment. I want the honesty. I want all of that,
Got to
like
know
the
your love languages.
authenticity.
Get that.
Yeah, the authenticity. And I'll tell you, I'll say in a minute now, you don't be acting some kind of way because I'm needy now. I'm needy. So you didn't give me my kiss today. You didn't give me my hug. You didn't say I love you back. I will call back on the phone and be like, you forgot
So
to
you
tell me you love
quality
me back.
time and
You
personal
know,
touch. Love languages.
yeah.
Five
And
love
so
languages. There you go.
right. And so I'm just saying, and I think that,
Words of
in
affirmation,
relationships,
gift giving, quality touch.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and I think now in relationships, sometimes the woman feels like it's a bad thing for her to have to say that. Oh, I don't need that. You know how they say, oh, I don't
quality
need
time,
that ninja. I can just,
physical touch, gift giving. Yeah.
yeah.
hmm
And in reality, you do need that. And
Some people are mix all the love languages. That's the thing
that,
about it. You might
that
not have
part.
one love
So
language. Yeah.
that part. So that's just my perspective on that.
Well,
hmm
the thing is, like I said, when I was younger, before I kind of matured and traveled a little bit, I didn't understand why a person acts the way they act. All right? And let me clarify. That's why I was talking about people who have experiences which were not so pleasant, people who are damaged. I didn't have any consideration for any of that because I was brought up tough. I was brought up, hey, this is what we got to do. We go handle business, and that's how it was. So there was no softness in that. Even though me as an individual, I've always been soft and compassionate because of my mother, my father, and my entire village of people that surrounded me. So I've always been compassionate because I saw how my father treated my mother. I saw how my aunts and my uncles and my grandmothers, how they treated each other. So that love was always there. So and I say that to make this point. I mentioned earlier that I know individuals who are in relationships with one